Hello and welcome back to the Yarn Hoarders Crafting Podcast. My name is Sasha and this is my little alcove of the internet where I like to talk all things crafting. Welcome, this is episode 63 and I'm coming to you today from a very sunny, very humid town just outside of Birmingham in the West Midlands here in the UK. Today I have one finished object, 3 whips and some planning-ish. I have a yarn show in 2 days, or if you watch this day, it comes out tomorrow. So I'm going to talk about that just a little bit. But first, I would like to do a bit of housekeeping. Over on my Ravelry, I'm currently hosting a make-along. It's called the Finish Along 2026. It is a make-along all about finishing projects that were started before the 31st of May. There's a chatter thread, there's a finished object thread. There will be a prize draw at the end of the make-along, which is running until the end of August. And all about whips, just have fun with it. Use it maybe as a little bit of inspiration to get some of them projects off the needles so that you can cast on all of the new things. And now I shall get in with my one and only finished object for this week, which is this adorable jumper. So this is the sheepish little sweater, or little sheepish sweater by Melissa Cremier. I can't remember. It'll be here anyway. So I was here on the body last week, so I hadn't yet started any of the colour work. I have now finished the sweater. This is the 6-year size. I'm making this as well as a 6 to 12 month size for a friend who is due to have her second baby at the end of this month. And since it's they're jumpers, I'm making them sized for the children to wear when winter hits. This is quite a thick Aran weight pattern, so you know it doesn't really get really cold here until about December through till about March. So yeah, but I started by making the biggest one, the 6-year size. So for this jumper I used Yarnsmith's Create Aran, which is the Wool Warehouse's own brand, I believe. This is a 100% acrylic yarn and it squeaks. It squeaks in this heat, and I use the colours Pale Lilac, Off-White, Black and Grass Green, and I think this looks amazing. I'm sorry, I haven't yet blocked this because it needs steam blocking, and I'm sorry I'm not dragging my steamer out in this heat. I know it's common for British people to complain about the heat, and I'm not usually one for it, but it is currently 33 degrees today, which doesn't sound like a lot, but with the humidity being at where I am 76%, using the Canadian Humidex system puts the temperature in the 40s, which I think is over 100 in Fahrenheit. So my steamer is not coming out today. I'll be lucky if my steamer comes out in time for me to send this off. So it needs a bit of steam blocking, but I think the colour work has come out quite well. Let's try and get up close. I think I've done quite well. The sleeves are needed a little bit of tweaking with the weaving in of the ends, just to fix a couple, but the sleeves were done on magic loop because I didn't have, well, this, even if I had a 9-inch circular in 5mm, there wasn't enough stitches for that to work. So, yeah. But this is the first one finished. I have not started on the second one just yet. I finished this on Tuesday. So I decided to take just a couple of days just to work on some stuff for me. It also means I have a little bit more content to talk about this week because I've not just been focusing on this. So this used 224 grams of yarn. And yeah, so I ended up using an entire ball of the lilac plus like 30 grams out of the other ball. So I'm hoping I've got enough to make the 6 to 12 month size. I did calculate this beforehand, but I think my tension is ever so slightly off. So, but my one and only finished object for this week, and I will now tell you what I'm wearing because I'm really, really bad at this. So, this is my golden oak tank top. It's a pattern that's no longer available, unfortunately. The designer has stopped designing and has discontinued all her designs, so they're no longer available. But the designer was Agata Makiericz, which I think is a Polish designer. Quite sad she's no longer designing, and that her patterns are no longer available. There was a couple other patterns that I wanted to make, but I hadn't got around to buying. So it is what it is. This has a signature lacework on the bottom. There'll be a picture here, I'm sure, of what it actually looks like. And this yarn is Creative Anarchy's Borges base in the colourway Hot Springs, which is a 80% merino, 20% silk, which might be a little bit warm for this weather, but I wanted to wear something knitted for the podcast, so I'm just going to have to live with it and die today. But it's very nice. It is quite summery, and I think if the humidity was just like a little bit lower, it would be fine. So, yeah. And now we shall talk about whips. Let's talk about the boring one. So this is my honeycomb Tunisian crochet scarf that I am making as a donation. I should get up so you can see the texture. This is just going to be a hat and scarf set when I'm finished. I decided to start with the scarf because it's the boring one. It is basically just going to be a really, really long rectangle in honeycomb stitch, which is either 30 or 34 stitches across. I did count and then I forgot because I haven't made a note. But, so I'm using a 6mm hook for this, and I'm using the Hobby Essentials Aran yarn, which is another 100% acrylic yarn. And I have started the third ball. So I was about here last week, so I've added a fair amount, but it's still not scarfing even for a child. So we're just going to keep going on this, and I'm going to put this away because having this on my lap and stuff is not comfortable. So this is the boring one. I have been taking this with me to knit group on a Monday morning to work on, to get some progress on it. It might get put away for a little bit, There's not exactly any rush for that. The deadline is November. So, yeah. I'm now going to take a quick hydration break because staying hydrated is really, really good at this time of year. And project number 2, whip number 2. This is the sock that I always have on the go. As some of you are probably aware, I always have a sock on the go. And what on earth has happened to this cake? Like, what the... I swear, the yarn cake goblins keep getting into my bags and messing up my cakes. But that's the only explanation for what's been happening recently, and I'll get into that in my next whip. So the yarn, which I've already flashed you, is Fruitful Fusion in the colourway Ryad, which is this very autumnal purpley brown mix, or variegated with orange and pale green, with a couple of flashes of magenta throughout. I don't think I've actually come across one of those in the actual... Oh, no, I have. There's a couple of spots of it. Okay. And this is how far I've come. Now, this is going to be really tricky to show because I'm currently on the heel flap, which I'm doing on the circular. But I have 5 repeats of the heel flap done out of 16. I was here the last time you saw it, so not a ton of progress on this, but there is some. This is 64 stitches on a 2.5mm needle. I'm using a 9-inch circular. Sorry, my hair keeps flipping forward and sticking to me. I would normally have it tied back, but well, I look like an egg when it's tied back, so I don't really want to document that on camera. So I have 20 rounds of 2x2 rib. Then there is 18 rounds of what I can best describe as mini waffle stitch. And then I realised you can't really see that in this yarn, and then switched to stockinette for 45 rounds. So, or 40, I think it's 40 actually, 40 rounds of stocking stitch. So we have the first sock on the go. These will probably get a bit more work this week just because I'm out and about a bit more now, so I will be out and about a bit more, so I've got this to work on because none of my other projects are really out and about easy knitting, whereas the sock is. So I'm hoping to have more progress on this next week, maybe even have a finished sock. So there we have it. That's my second whip. And now we get on to the problem child. So, if you watched last week's very long episode, you'll be aware that there was another project, but it was currently in the naughty corner. Well, I've taken it out of the naughty corner and started working on it, and this project has been fighting me at every single opportunity. So, this is one of my 12 cast-ons. And it is my Carlisle raglan. Now, those of you who have watched me in the past will remember that I cast this on wrong to start with. I didn't read the pattern correctly, and so instead of doing a provisional cast on, I ended up doing a normal long tail cast on. So I've ended up having to sew the collar down, which is fine. I think I've done it loosely enough. It's it's quite stretchy. I did make sure to do it really loose, so it should keep going. It should go over my head. I know I have a big head, but it should go over my head. However, the reason this was in the naughty corner was because when I started working on it, I set it up, you know, separated, you know, knit onto the bigger needle, set up the raglan stitches, and then started doing the short rows. Except for some reason, none of the stitch counts were adding up. And I couldn't work out why. Apparently, I had somehow picked up an extra 3 stitches when I transferred to the bigger needle. I don't know how, because I was just knitting off it. So I ended up having to rip it back to the ribbing, fix that, got it onto the needles, started doing it again, and then the cake I was working from, it was already a little bit messy, but it ended up exploding. There was like yarn everywhere. It just fell apart. It became a complete mess. It was not workable, meaning I had to cut the yarn. Thankfully, I'd already wound up another cake and was working and could attach that, so that was fine. But then I spent the best part of an hour winding up this mess of a yarn into a cake, and then as soon as I took it off the winder, it fell apart again. It just did not want to stay. So I ended up having to wind it again, which took another about 30-40 minutes, and I had to keep the tension on it really tight, which I don't like doing, but I had to keep a really tight tension so it's a really tight cake to stop it from falling apart again. I've left it over there. I'll cut this bit out because you don't need to be this close to me. This is now a semi-neat cake for me to work from. So at some point I'm going to cut this, reattach this, sort of at random intervals, keep swapping which cake I'm working with. I don't really think there's going to be... I don't think anyone's going to notice that I'm using 5 cakes of this. I think the yarn is variegated enough that it hides the dye lots quite well. I know this cake looks a little bit darker, but to be honest, I'll get the stockinette sleeve bit to show you. You can't really tell where I swapped the cakes in. Due to the variegated nature of it, there is a couple of like darker patches like on the other sleeve, but I don't think you can notice. Like, there's going to be dark patches throughout, like you can kind of see a couple of the darker stitches there. It's not noticeable. I managed to get through the short rows. I had to fudge the short rows ever so slightly because I wasn't ripping back again. Without giving the pattern away too much, it tells you what stitch to go to. Like how, at which point in each section. But it seems on the last round, I don't know if it's because of the way the pattern was written or what, I turned 1 stitch too early. So I just fudged it on the next row and just did the same. I just didn't go that extra stitch because I worked it out too late to go back, because I'm sorry, I was not tinking back for 3rd or 4th time. I'd had to tink back sections in the beginning as it was, because trying to establish the broken rib pattern on the back and the front of this jumper while you're doing it in short rows, so you're working flat back and forth. And at the point of like the middle of the back, you had to swap between doing the pattern to knit, like just purling. So I'd had to tink back a couple of times anyway, like within sections to fix. I don't know whether it was the way the pattern was written, if it's just not quite for me, like pattern writing style, or if it's just not the best written, but for some reason I found this really difficult. Now that I'm set up, now that the short rows are done and I'm just working the raglan, I think I'm doing okay. I will say, however, if you are new to garment knitting, I wouldn't have this as your first garment. Yeah, unless you are really confident in your abilities to sort of fudge it, I don't recommend this as your first. This is a beautiful pattern, and I am loving how this is working up now that it has stopped being a problem child. Or at least I hope it has stopped being the problem child. But yeah, I was not expecting to have this many issues with this. But we're on our way. We are going. So this is the Carlisle Raglan by Maddie Moe. And the yarn that I'm using is, so I have 3 more of these here. I've only got these 2 at the moment. But this is by Mouthy and the Squid. This is just her 75-25 sock base, and the colourway is Purple Orchid. I bought this from Wonderwool last year, 2025. I finally got around to casting it on in January of 2026 during my 12 cast-ons. And I would like to have this finished by the end of September. Yes, I am currently living in La La Land. This isn't going to be finished by... I'll be lucky if I have this finished by Christmas. I mean, it took me 6 months to make a fingering weight cardigan. Why do I think I'm going to have this finished in 3 months? The only part of this I had done when I picked it back up was the collar. So, yeah, living in La La Land a little bit there, aren't I? And if anyone goes, oh, well, if you focus on it and be a monogamous knitter, you can have that done in no time. Yeah, I'm not a monogamous knitter. I don't do monogamy. I have a second one of these to knit. It is a smaller size, so that shouldn't take too long. It's Aran weights. I think this took me 10 days to knit, and I wasn't exactly focusing on it. But realistically, it's not going to be done, is it? If I'm lucky, it'll be done for Christmas. It'll be done in time for me to wear it in the cold season. So we'll see. It'll get there. It'll get there in the end. So I'm on the raglan increases, so you know, we shall just keep going. See if I can get to the sleeve split. If I can get to the point of splitting for sleeves before I go on holiday, I'll be very happy. But, you know, I need to be a realist at the end of the day, and I'll be lucky if this is split for sleeves by the end of July. That's when I go on holiday. I meant the end of August. I'll be lucky if I split for sleeves by August. The end of August. So. Oh. I have another beef with this project, and it's not specifically the project, but it's the cable I'm using. KnitPro, I'm talking to you directly now, KnitPro. What the hell is this lip? Okay, how is that supposed to be easy to get your bloody stitches onto the needle? Okay, like look, you have to argue with it. What the hell, KnitPro? It's like, that was not helping me when I was getting frustrated with this. The constant wrestling to get my stitches on the needle. Like, you're supposed to be there for knitters, KnitPro. Who designed that? Because I can guarantee you it wasn't tested by a knitter. And if it was tested by a knitter, it was tested by somebody who knits on like 6mm needles, who wouldn't have that issue. It wasn't tested by somebody with fingering weight yarn on a 3.25mm needle. Like, what the hell? Like, I love my KnitPro interchangeables. Like, some of the cables have been fine, but just recently, all of their new cables that I have bought, I have hated. Like, why? Okay, KnitPro, I'm still talking to you directly. If you don't fix your shit, you lose a customer. Because that is not a good knitting experience. Okay, KnitPro, do better. And my little rant aside, shall we talk about the yarn show I'm attending in 2 days? / tomorrow, if you're watching this the day it comes out. I'm going to adjust and take a hydration break. Okay, so on Saturday, the 11th of July, well, it's actually running both days of the weekend, like the 11th and the 12th, but I'll be there on the 11th. I'm going to the new wool show, the Midlands Wool Festival, being held at Wolverhampton Racecourse. I will be attending. I'm hoping to get there when it opens at 10 o'clock, and I will be there till 4 o'clock. But that's because from 2:30 I'm going to be doing a workshop. I'm not going to talk about the workshop here. I'm going to leave it until after. I plan on vlogging the experience, sort of. Not the workshop. There's no recording allowed in the workshop, which is fair. But I plan on vlogging, try and get some footage. I want to sort of support the show as well, which is the main reason I'm going. You know, I want to support new shows. I want to be able to support shows near me. As much as I love Wonderwool, it is a bit of a trek for me. It's a 2.5 hour drive each way, roughly. You can do it in 2 hours, but it's 2.5 hours with traffic on average. So it's nice to have shows near you. There's the Christmas Wool Show that takes place at the NCC, which is the other side of Brum to me, which is quite close. Wolverhampton is quite close, so I'm going to support that. I know there's a couple of others, but I either haven't got to them or have seen like the advertisements for it too late. So I'm going there, going to support the show, going to vlog it. I will probably buy a couple of things while I'm there. I don't plan on going crazy. There's not going to be a 2 kilogram haul like there was for Wonderwool, I hope. But I'm going to go probably buy a couple of things, you know, support a couple of the stalls, you know. It's all well and good going to the show, but if it doesn't work out financially reasonable, you know, a financially good decision for the vendors, they're not going to want to go next year. You know, applications to vend there will dwindle, and so the show will close down. I don't want that. I'd quite like that one to stay. It's quite close to me. I am not looking forward to the weather. And not so much. I'm happy for the sun. I'll be glad of the nice warm sunshine. I'll be glad to sit out and eat my picnic that I take with me. I am going on my own to this one. So I'll take a little packed lunch with me, sit out and eat that in the sunshine, you know. But My car currently doesn't have working aircon. So, last week I went to get my aircon recharged because I realised I was going to need it. So last week, it was the beginning of this week. And discovered that the guy said the valve to regas the aircon is broken. So I would have to get the valve replaced in order to charge the aircon. Okay, fair enough. There is a 3-week back order on the part I need to fix my aircon. So, driving to Wolverhampton shouldn't be too bad because I'll be leaving the house at about 9 o'clock in the morning, before the worst of the heat. However, my car is then going to be parked in a field in direct sunlight for the better part of 7 hours. Because by the time I get there, it should be about 9:45. Show starts at 10. My workshop finishes at 4. I think the show finishes at 4 or 4:30. I'm hoping it's 4:30. I can't quite remember, but... So realistically, it's going to be the better part of 7 hours by the time I get sort of back to the car, load up, set up, to come home. Which, that's not going to be fun. I drive a 16-year-old Renault Clio with no working aircon. The only saving grace for my vehicle is it's not black. So, the inside is black, however. And although I have ordered a screen reflector to put in to try and keep some of it out, I have a feeling that's not going to arrive in time. That's not going to be fun. That's not going to be fun at all. So, if there isn't an episode next week, it's because I've died of heat stroke. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I do have, I am going with 2 projects in mind. But because I didn't plan on recording this early, I forgot to write them down. They're not written down, so I can't tell you what they are. But I'm sure you'll find out in next week's episode. When I go there as well, as some of you may know, I'm getting the Super Effective Fibres Yarn Club every month. And he is vending at this show. So hopefully I can pop along, say hello to him, maybe get some footage of his stall. We shall see. I'll do my usual thing of being polite and asking if I can record the stall rather than just assuming. And I do try to make sure I try not to get too many people, too many faces in it, and definitely not up close. I know not everybody wants a high definition view of their face on screen or on YouTube, so I'm careful. And yeah, other than that, that's about it. I will say next week's episode might be filmed early, or next week's episode might be the vlog for this show, and that is because next Friday, the 17th of July, is my partner's birthday. And we're not entirely sure what we're doing yet, mostly because I need to get and book some stuff. I'm just leaving it to the last minute as usual. So yeah, I need to sort that out, and I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to record before that, because of life and other bits and trying to sort other things out and appointments. I have it's not exactly a hospital appointment because it's taking place at my doctor's surgery, but I've got my post-op appointments which I'm guessing is just them touching base to make sure I'm okay. So there's that, and there's other things which I won't talk about because that's more private to my side of the family, not me specifically, but there. So yeah, I will hopefully see you all next week. Hopefully I don't die of heat stroke. I will be careful. I'll keep windows down so I've got a bit of a breeze. I'm going to leave the windows open a crack so it doesn't like cook in the car. You know, air the car out a bit, windows down. I'll make sure to take plenty of fluids with me so I can stay hydrated. You know, stuff like that. So it'll all be fine. But with that, I shall leave it there for this week. I hope you all have an amazing week. I hope you have a lovely weekend, whatever you get up to. I hope you get to do plenty of crafting, or if you're not a crafter yourself and just like watching this, I hope you get to do whatever it is you enjoy. I hope you get to indulge in your hobby, and I will see you all again next week. Bye, guys.